Hello, welcome to Cornwall. My name's Andy Paramore. This is Andy's Cornish Creations. In this video I'm going to be making a gonk, a sort of a stylised one, sort of elongated. And it's not going to have hair, but it's going to have a body, a head and a tall hat, so it's going to be long and slender hopefully. And this is a piece of wood I've got. It's just a piece of timber we had. We had some wood delivered on site on the job that I'm working, and this was a packing underneath the timber for him to drop for the lorry to drop the timbers on. And it looks like it's only a piece of pine, but it looks like it's got some interesting grain in it. So I brought it home and I thought, wow, I could make that out of it. So we'll give it a go and see what we come up with. Okay, I've got it mounted between centres. I've cut the piece of wood down to 1 foot long, that's 300 mil, and it's 2 1/4 inch, which is 60 mil by 2 1/4 inch, 60 mil square. So now I'm using my 3/4 inch bowl gouge just to take it down to round. I seem to have lost the sound on the video for some reason, so I apologise for that. So now I'm turning the tenon on one end, and they're just putting a dovetail on it to fit into the jaws, and I'm marking out for the body, the head and the hat there. The main body is 6 1/4 inches or 160 mil tall, and 2 1/4 inches or 60 mil wide at the base, and then it narrows to 5/8 inches or 15 mil at the neck, which you'll see in a few minutes. The hat is 4 inches tall, 100 mil, and just over 1.5 inches or 40 mil wide at the base of the hat, and that obviously tapers to a point again, which you'll see in a minute. So now I'm just tapering, I'm just rounding off the bottom, the base of the body, which is where it'll sit eventually, and there I'm tapering it down to where the neck will be. And as I say, it's going to be 5/8 inches or 15 mil at the neck. We're just trying to create a nice shape. Here I'm using the my 3/8 spindle gouge, and there I'm just making a bit of shape on the head. The head is 1 3/8 inches wide, which is 35 mil, and 1 inch or 25 millimeters tall. And then I'm bringing the size of the hat down a bit. Not doing any finish cuts just yet, just getting the general shape and just getting an idea, because I haven't tried this before, so I'm just sort of winging it a bit, and just sort of making it up as I go along and making it look right, with the size of the piece of wood that I've got to work with. Just turning away there the waste material, get it out of the way. And there I've got the roughing gouge back, just to take some of the bulk of the material away. So back with the 3/8 inch spindle gouge and taking the hat down fairly close to the finished size, but I'll be leaving a little bit at the end there just so that the tailstock has something to go into to support the piece. Here, taking the size of the head down a bit. Just trying to create a nice shape and get a nice finish on it so there's not too much sanding at the end. Using the square-ended scraper just to get a nice flat surface there, and then just rounding it down a bit. And coming in at the neck just to get it a little bit narrower down to that 5/8 or 15mm. And again using the 3/8 spindle gouge. And back to the hat, sticking it down a little bit more. And this is a trick I use quite a lot. I get with the smaller tool rest, I put the tool rest at the angle that I want the piece to be finished at. Like here it's tapering down to the neck, so I put the tool rest at that angle that I need, and I can use the edge of the tool rest as a guide to keep it nice and straight. So I've got my finger at the back of the tool rest, and I'm using it as a guide to get a nice straight finish on there. And that was with the 1 inch wide skew. That was. Now a thin parting tool just to keep that bottom and here. Before I start sanding or anything, I'm putting a hole in the head for the nose to go into. And that's I think it's a 5mm hole. And that doing it then, if I get a bad edge on the hole, it'll sand out nicely and leave a nice clean hole after it's been sanded. Again, I'm using that trick with the hat, so I use the edge of the tool rest as a guide to give me that angle and keep it nice and straight. So I'm coming on with some sandpaper, starting with 120, because it's not a bad finish on this piece. Here I'm putting a little groove in, so I'm going to be adding some colour later, and to separate the different pieces, I'm going to put a burn line on. So I've got my wire, and the wire slips into the groove, and I burn a line on there, and it just keeps the different colours separate, so they don't merge together at all. And these are water-based colours. And this is a crimson, I think it is. The wood's quite absorbent, so I've stopped the lathe and I'm applying it along the grain, which covers a lot better. And it does pick out the grain quite nicely. Here I've got some blue, but I don't know why, but the blue just didn't work. It's almost as if the pigment in it has settled to the bottom and won't come up. So it didn't really work that, so I decided to change tack and use some yellow on it, which is much better. And it does turn a little bit greeny, a bit of a pale sort of olive green colour, but I quite liked it anyway, so I went with that. And I'll be leaving the face natural, or the head. So that's the colouring done, but I've still got to finish the top of that hat off. So I've done the bulk of the work now, so I can turn the hat down to nothing, and then allow me to remove the tailstock and finish sanding and colouring the hat. But of course the piece is still in the chuck, so it's still well supported. So yes, just start sanding the hat now, get it up to a nice smooth finish, and then I'll apply some more colour just to finish that off. And I'll just sand it a little bit into the other colour just to blend it out slightly. I think that was a 360 grit paper. So I've got the yellow out again, and just apply a bit of that yellow. And I decided to put a bit on the body as well, to make it more of an orangey tinge towards the top of the body. And that's it for the colour. Just flicking over the surface with a bit of 600 grit wet and dry, and just make sure that I think I got a little bit of stain on the head, so I'm just sanding that a bit just to get rid of a little over spill of the stain. Now I've got the abrasive paste. And plenty on. And turn the speed up, and just work the paste in to give it that give it a nice shine. Use a clean piece of cloth where the head is, trying not to spread the any of the stain into the head. And then you use a clean cloth just to wipe off any excess paste. You can see there it's already got a nice shine to it. And then I've got some microcrystalline wax. I'll put some of that on, and I actually leave it for a couple of hours just to dry, and then I'll buff it up. So here I'm back, and just going to buff it up now. So I'll turn the speed up probably to about 1500 and give it a nice polish. And I still like to use a cloth to do the final polish. I prefer it to the paper. So with the thin parting tool, I'll just part the piece off, and as far as the turning is concerned, that's it. I've just got to, or the turning on the main part of the gonk, I've just got to turn a nose. So I've got a piece of, I think it's sapele, something like that, but it's a contrasting wood, a bit darker than the pine, and turn a little round on the end, and the nose is about 5/16 or 8mm in the round part, and then I've got this 5mm spanner that I've sharpened up, and that will give me a 5mm dowel on the end of it, or tenon, and which will fit exactly into my 5mm hole that I've put on the head. Sand up the wood down to the 600 grit, and then a little bit of abrasive paste. That's got a nice shine on it, so I'll probably leave it at that. Oh, I've got the dome chuck on this one, the record power dome chuck, which is nice for these small pieces, nice and safe. So I'm just using the parting tool just to part it off, and there it is, a little nose with the dowel on the end, and a bit of super glue, and pop it in. Perfect fit. Just wipe off any glue that squeezes out, and that's it. Okay, so there we have it. Elongated, stylized gonk. Got no hair on, fur, just kept really simple. I decided to colour it in the end because the wood's just a bit of scrap pine really, and whilst it's got a bit of interest in it, the colours weren't fantastic, so I've added a bit of colour and add a contrasting piece of wood for the nose, which is quite nice. Yeah, a really easy beginner's project. Doesn't cost anything. If you haven't got the colours, use some felt tips or a bit of paint or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything special. And you could turn the whole thing with one chisel. I could have done the whole lot with the 3/8 spindle gouge quite easily, but if you've got the tools you tend to use them. And you could turn the whole thing between centres if you wanted to, just a little bit more finishing off. And yeah, yeah, nice easy project, but good fun, and doesn't take too long to do. Anyway, hope you liked it. If you did, please give it that thumbs up, and share if you can, and if you can, if you're not a subscriber, if you could subscribe, that'd be great. We're getting closer to the 10,000. We're a way off yet, but we're getting there, and it's really great. And also, if you could leave a comment, that'd be great as well. I do read them all, and eventually I do reply to them all, and I do enjoy getting comments from around the world, and making new friends from all over the place. It's really good. So there you go. We've had a lot of rain recently. It's a bit dry outside now, but it's turned a bit cold. It's a bit like autumn. So from here in Cornwall, my name's Andy Paramore. This is Andy's Cornish Creations, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.